lovely to be back with you again this week. This is the final session in our Let Wisdom Lead. And so what better topic for us to talk about today than, you know, what's the secret behind letting wisdom lead? What does that even mean in your mind?
Yeah, so I'm a bottom line kind of girl. So I quite like
What?
Bottom line. I like the bottom line.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in IBM as a, you know, they were all about the bottom line. What's the bottom line? So bottom line was like, I was interested in the bottom line, you know, the kind of simplest version of something, the essence of something, the bottom line in business. So I'm oriented that way. So, you know, this is not the truth, as in the only way to see it, but it is something that I've seen. So I'll just share it with you for what it's worth. It looks like a secret to me. It's kind of got two parts. So the secret, part one, is, which then allows you to have part two. So the secret, as it looks to me, is this: understanding. I'm going to use every word carefully. Understanding what is real and true. Understanding what is real and true. So I'm just going to unpick those words.
Yeah.
Understanding doesn't mean intellectually being able to write a report on it or have an analysis of it or be able to just, you know, describe it or write it down. That isn't what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with having that as a kind of first port of call or anything, but I'm just saying that isn't what I mean by understanding. It's not being able to read it in a book. Understanding, as I mean it, is what I'm going to call embodied knowing. Knowing for yourself on the inside. We might call it insight, having your own insight. So first of all, understanding as in knowing for yourself. Okay, what is real and true. So real looks to me like what is really real is ultimately created through our minds. That is our reality, moment by moment. So understanding that what is real for us in any moment is created by our minds. That's real. That's what creates real. Every moment that we experience is a function of that happening behind the scenes. So knowing that for yourself, and true is like, I don't want to claim I have ultimate truth. I think that would be a slight stretch. But it looks true to me that we're all part of, ultimately, everything is mind. So if we understand in an embodied way, not read it in a book, what is real right now is created through thought. And what is ultimately true is one mind manifesting through us. That is a direct access to wisdom. And then allows us to part two, know what the truth is in this moment right for us, the present time phenomena.
Right.
So they're the two kind of parts to the one secret, because really we want to know that wisdom is available now, and what allows for that is an understanding of what is real and true, and therefore present to the truth is in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my bottom line on wisdom.
So if I was listening to you right now and I had the luxury of watching this video, I'd pause you now and I'd rewind you and I'd listen to that again. But I can't, because I'm here with you right now.
You want me to say it again?
I don't want you to say it again, but I want you to keep talking, because I don't know. Well, actually, here's what I love, right? What you just said, I can't get my head around. I can't remember it. I couldn't repeat it. If someone just asked me to say what you said, I can't remember it, but I know it did something for me. And that's why I feel like I want to rewind it. But I don't need to rewind it because it isn't in what you said. There's something other than the words that you said that is doing something on the inside. I don't know if you can hear now. I now decided to start shredding trees outside my window, so I hope that isn't disturbing.
Can't hear it.
Good. So because I can't remember what you said, I can't ask an intelligent next question apart from to say
keep talking.
no, apart from to say keep talking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to keep speaking from what arises in me in this space. What arises as the most, it's what I know when I understand I have faith. I know what I have faith in. It is a knowing beyond intellect. It's a knowing beyond what other people will think. It's a knowing beyond the vagaries of my mood. It is a home base. It's a coming back to every time, no matter how far away I go from home. And the more I witness that process in my life of going away from home and coming back home, the more I have faith in home is what I return to, what I am, what I'm made of. And the more I stay in this conversation of inquiry as to what is true, what is real, the more I understand in my own experience of it. So there is something about that. But it's not like a learning from books or teachers. You know, the tree across the street is my teacher. You know, the cup of coffee my husband brings and I sip it and it's like, oh my God, I feel like Sid Banks. This is the best coffee I've ever had, you know, is my teacher. So it's like understanding is seeing real time over and over again what is real and true in your experience, and that we come back home. We come back home. And then seeing over and over again that we knew what to do. We knew what to do over and over again. The truth is in the moment. Over and over again, that there was wisdom in all of it. You know, sometimes we were hearing the flute, sometimes we were just hearing the brass band, but somehow wisdom was still there. And I think that it's not in the discussion or the intellect, it's in the seeing in your own life where this will come to life, where you'll see it live, real time. And I really think that for that, well, maybe that's just extroverts. It's so good to have a place to share that, to engage, to talk to other people, whether it's a coach one-on-one or whether it's in a group setting or on a Facebook post. There's something about, you know, staying in the conversation, but also sharing what you're seeing that brings it to life in your real life. Personally, I get a lot of value from expressing my insights in some form, knowing that they were just for now, but they come more alive in me, and they help me to trust the process of insightful wisdom. The more I see myself in that way.
What you're reminding me of as you're talking is, and I don't know if, who knows why this is coming to mind, right? But I'm thinking about love, right?
Yeah.
So love is something that you can write about, you can describe to somebody else, you can write poems about it. People have written films, movies, everything about love. And it never captures what it actually is, but we all know it.
Yeah.
We all know it. And kind of, we all know it. There are no exceptions to that. And sometimes we don't always feel it, but it always seems to show itself again and again and again and again and again and again and again through our lives, right? And if you get eyes for that, if you get eyes and a respect for the feeling of love, you just happen to notice it more of the time.
Yes.
And then kind of what you were saying last of all, it's like there's something about the nature of it that lends itself really well to being shared with others, that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
and or sitting in the feeling of it all on your own. But more often than not, like when we get filled up with it, there's an overflow. And then other people and things in our environment get hit with that. Right. In the same way when we come back home and when we get touched by this space that you're talking about. To me, that when I realized that was this, that is the same as love. I totally get it about love, but I hadn't got it about this mind wisdom thing, because it just still felt like it was a technical term or something. I didn't quite understand what the teachers were getting at.
Yeah.
But then when I realized, oh, it's the same as love, I thought, oh, I know how that works. I know it in my, I have an embodied knowing of it. It's totally indescribable. I can't engineer that feeling, but every time I feel it, I know it's always here. I know that's the default. I know that's the starting place. And I know often as well, like the two words mind and love are shared interchangeably, but that's kind of what made it. And it's not like, what we're not saying is like, okay, I'm going to let myself be led by love, so I'm only going to do loving things. Like, then we're off in the world of concepts and ideas and what we think love looks like when it's expressed, which is not what we're saying. I guess I'm just saying, like, that's the parallel that you were reminding me of when you were talking about it at the beginning. That's like, oh, I have a reference point for that, and it's love. I kind of know what you mean.
I love that.
In terms of letting it lead us, then, right, let's put the love thing to one side, because I think we have too many ideas about what it means to be led by love. But what does it look like to be? See, in my mind, and I don't really know what I think about it now, but there used to be a distinction in my mind between navigating by thought and navigating by mind. That life would unfold differently depending on whether I was being pushed in the back by insecure thought and pulled forward by the idea that life would be different if only, versus following the flow.
Well, you know, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. Navigating by feeling is both, all of it, the quality of the experience. Wisdom has, like love, an experience that we can know. And when we are aligned with that, it comes with the perfect next instruction. And that we follow. And that's it. It is that feeling of simplicity, clarity, ease, perspective, certainty, or just not even any of that, just knowing, knowing.
That's what I was reminded. It was right back in the first video. You were like, I can't remember the exact words you used, but you said, like, we know we're operating from wisdom when we're just doing, and there's no person involved. So actually, it's not even feeling, I feel certain, I know what to do next. It's just doing is happening.
That's right. We're following.
Yeah, I was talking to someone this morning, and she was trying to make a decision about a program she wanted to sign up on. And she'd kind of initially said yes, she wanted to do it, and then she was thinking, no, I don't know, I've got all these questions, but what about the finances, and what about this bit and that bit, and what about the legal contracts, and what about this and that and the other. And she'd got herself totally in a tangle of thought about doing whether to do the program or not, and she couldn't. So she said, I don't think I can do it because of all these things in thought that look totally real, right? And I sat with her, and I asked a question that was asked of me when going through a similar dilemma in my head, and I was just like, do you want to do it? She said, well, I do, but I'm like, no, that wasn't what I was asking. It's like, do you want to do it? And she actually sat, after a while of me asking it a couple of times, she sat quietly and she spent ages. I could see her like thinking about it. And then she's like, I don't know. And I said, well, that's cool. That's a perfectly appropriate answer. Like, yes, no, I don't know. Like, any of those is fine. And I was saying to her, what's cool is that anything might happen between now and Monday, when actually is the time you need to decide. It might become a really clear yes. And I'll tell you for something, if it becomes a really clear yes, none of those things that you think are in your way, they're then just logistics, and they kind of dissolve and they get handled. But unless it's a clear yes, as in like, well, it just looks like a no-brainer, that's how wisdom says, yes, move this way. And it was so helpful to me in that when I was in, and I said to her, like, who knows, your answer might change to a clear yes or no between now and Monday, but it'll be clear as a bell. So you don't need to look out for it. You'll know. So you can just forget all about it, go about your life in the I don't know, presume it's a no. And if it's a yes, it'll be clear as a bell, and you won't be able to miss it. And you'll just be signing up and doing it. But one of the things that I found really helpful when I, because so many people get caught up in the like, but is it thought or is it wisdom? Should I go for the thing that my heart desires? Is that thought? Is it wisdom? Is it thought? Is it wisdom? And to me, the thing that was so incredibly helpful was in the UK, when you do your driving test in the UK, when you sit next to the driving instructor, he sits down next to you and he says, continue straight ahead unless I or signs say otherwise. And that was so helpful to me, because I started seeing that, oh, life is already living me wisely. And if I need to turn left, I'll hear it clear as day, turn left. And unless it's as obvious as, do I want tea or coffee? Unless it's as obvious as, oh, time to go and have lunch now, then just continue on the path I'm on. And I spent my whole life looking for, should I go that way? Should I go that way? Should I go that way? Look at all those paths. Or look, there's a roundabout, there's 15 paths. Which one does wisdom choose? And to be able to see that, no, we're already being lived wisely. And if there's a turn to take, it'll be as clear as bell. But otherwise, continue as you are until signs say otherwise.
Absolutely. I was
takes so much off your plate. Like this girl this morning was just like, oh, I don't even have to think about it. I'm like, no, honestly, I promise you, it's like a friend saying to you, I might come round today. So you just get on with your life, doing what you do. And if she comes around, she'll ring the doorbell and you'll know.
It's beautiful.
It's like that.
It is like that. You know, I had a little mini breakdown when my kids were little, 3 and 5, and all I knew was something had to change. Wisdom said, my husband said, why don't we go live in Spain? And wisdom went, that sounds like a good idea. And suddenly my depression went away. Isn't it interesting? One thought changes everything. So then we went to Spain for 15 years. And for the first 10, it was pretty good. And then for the final 5, it started to lose its something. It was harder. And then one day my husband said, this isn't working for you. So in these cases, my wisdom was triggered by his suggestion. But he said, this isn't working for you. I think we should move back to the UK. And I hadn't been thinking about that at all. And the minute he said it, something hit me and it was time to come back.
Yeah.
Against logic. I mean, so many people have said to me, what, you're coming back to the UK? And you know why? And I mean, I've got a little bit, little set of reasons why, but it's nothing to do with any of that. It was time. It was wisdom. Like, time to be back. And then turns out I was in this beautiful little house in Islington for COVID. What a miracle. All settled in by the time COVID hit. And it was just like, it's been like this oasis of calm, and which she couldn't have predicted. I thought we'd be going back to Spain every 3 months for 3 weeks. That hasn't happened.
Not right now, no.
So that's how I got myself to agree to it in my head. Oh, well, you'll be able to come back every 3 months for 3 weeks, which of course, but what I'm noticing is I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
Everything going exactly how it should be. And all I had to do was follow the nudge, follow the turn left. Time to turn left now.
But the other way I see it, which I think is so helpful as well, it shows you the passive, how little you need to get involved in this.
Totally.
And Dickon was the one that explained it in this, Dickon Battinger was the one that explained it in this way to me, and it totally made sense to me. He said, every time you touch that space before thought, come home, feel that feeling of the deeper feeling, right? Then wisdom rearranges your priorities for you.
That's right.
So where, for example, like, I don't know, I'm making this up, right? But like travel and, you know, being on a plane every 5 minutes, zipping all over the place might have been a priority. Then all of a sudden, the being in one place feels like a beautiful thing, right? It just moves. So me, like there was I don't know, we moved to New Zealand, and that was more important than being near family or whatever. And then one day that changed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have to make that happen. And wisdom just, it's like this isn't how it is, but like if you imagine all your priorities are like stacked like that, it's like every time you touch that space, it's like they pull apart and then they go back in a different order. Yep. And you get to find out after the fact what happened, because all of a sudden you notice you're saying no to a glass of wine, or you're saying yes to Netflix instead of work, or you're saying yes to flower farming instead of creating more programs, or you're saying yes to a project that you've said no to for months because it looked too scary. It just doesn't anymore. Like I said, like for me, driving, fear more was here compared to like driving on a motorway. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I had an insight, and it went like that. Mm. So that this was just became something I could do, whereas before it couldn't. And that has nothing. The only way to get involved in making that happen is looking to the space where that space is. And that's all you can do. Mm. And then whatever's top of that priority list just comes out of your mouth next. So if it swaps wine for water, when someone says, what do you want to drink at the bar, you find the word water coming out of your mouth rather than the word wine. And so how does wisdom lead? Well, it just puts different things at the top of your list. And I love that, knowing that's done for me. That's done for me. Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
It's simplifying, nourishing, and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, like when I chat with you and we talk about this stuff, I always feel this just like sense of lightness and relief and like quieter, even though they're shredding trees outside my window. Like a quietness. For me, insight, wisdom always comes with a 90% off my to-do list. There's so much less to do than I thought. And then I forget and I get busy thinking I need to figure out the next step in my life. And then we look in this direction, and again, it becomes obvious that I have nothing to do with it. It's like I get to write myself a bonus day off slip, hand it out to myself, whatever they're called in real workplaces these days, like a duvet day slip. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that last night. I launched a program last night at 5:30, and kind of around lunchtime, everything was done. There was nothing left. And of course, I probably neglected a few other things because I've been focused on this other thing, right? And I just was like, I don't want to do any of it. I just want to watch the inauguration. And I did up until 15 minutes before my program. Yeah. Because it was just what was happening.
Yeah.
I wanted to witness it. Yeah. And then after the program launched, I noticed I wanted to watch a film, and I cuddled up and watched this old film called Stardust, which was so fabulous, fantasy and great funny characters, and it was just, yeah. And I just noticed myself being there, just completely full. You know, everything was just perfect.
And what I love in that, you sharing that, is 7 billion people all following their wisdom and all doing something different.
That's it.
Right? Because it's so easy to get caught up in, oh yeah, moving to Spain, maybe that would work for me.
Oh, that's not the point.
And oh, I should have watched. Oh, I feel really bad now because I worked really hard when the inauguration was on. I totally missed it. If I had wisdom, I would have watched that. And if anyone is kind of like, because it's so easy to think that the form, wisdom is the form of what gets done, but what gets done is the echo,
yeah,
of wisdom.
Yeah, it's not the content. We're talking about
you get to find out. That's why. So when people are coming on my Facebook, what should I do about X, Y, and Z? Like it's lovely that everybody jumps in and hands out their advice. But how would we know? Like, how would I know what you should have been doing last night? How would I know that moving to Spain would be helpful? Like what we get to do, our jobs, what we get to do. Point people back to that space where they get more in tune with their own wisdom, trust in that, and then they get to follow that and live more wonderful lives.
That's what we do.
Cool. Thank you, Elizabeth, my gorgeous friend.
Absolute pleasure. Always fun to hang out with you, Nick.